Good morning. Thank you for your patience again. Welcome to the Committee on Senate Finance, and good to see some smiling faces. Committee Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Senator Canizaro, Senator Goycochea, Senator Harris, Senator Neal, Senator Wynn, Senator Sievers-Gansert, Senator Titus, Chair Dondero Loop.
And please mark Senator Sievers-Gansert absent excused, and mark Senator Canizaro present when she arrives. All right, a couple things. First of all, silence your cell phones, or you have to write on your bill 100 times. I will turn off my cell phone, and there are people in this building who have done that before. So the other thing is that we have a new meeting ID. So I'm going to announce it now, and then I will announce it again at public comment, but it is 819-9387-8194, and it is on the current agenda online, if you're listening online. So you'll dial 888-475-4499, and then that meeting ID that I just read, and press pound. Okay, also we're going to go out of order. So Secretary of State, you get one favor all session long, and this is your, this is the time you don't have to, you have to turn in your homework, but you get one favor. So I'm going to take you first ahead of the GFO, who is now shooting daggers at you. It was, this is the choice you make when you ask for these things. So we have a Board of Examiners meeting at 11 a.m., so we're trying to put a few people who need to be at that meeting. So please, we're going to do Senate Bill 478 first. Let me also announce we're going to pull 479 out of the lineup. So with that, Secretary of State, welcome, and please go ahead when you're ready.
Great. Good morning, Chair Dondero Loop and members of the committee. For the record, I'm Nevada's Secretary of State, Cisco Aguilar. With me is Chief Deputy Gabriel DeCara, for the record. We are here this morning to present Senate Bill 478, which would make an appropriation in the sum of $426,376 to cover the agency's shortfall related to credit card processing fees. We are presently moving away from the agency-paid model for processing credit card fees, and hopefully will not need to request any supplemental funds to cover shortfalls related to this issue in the future. This concludes our presentation. We are available for questions. Thank you.
Okay, any questions from the committee? Thoughts, comments? All right. Seeing none, we'll go straight to those in support of 478 here in Carson City, Las Vegas. Online, BPS, when you're ready.
Chair, we have no callers to testify in support in the queue at this time.
Thank you very much. We'll go to opposition here in Carson City, Las Vegas, BPS, on the phone lines when you're ready.
Chair, we have no callers to testify in opposition at this time.
Thank you very much. And we'll go to neutral, Carson City, Las Vegas, on the phone lines, BPS, when you're ready.
Chair, we have no callers to testify in neutral at this time.
Thank you very much. With that, we'll close the hearing. No closing comments. Okay, we'll close the hearing on Senate Bill 478, and we'll go to Senate Bill 483. Go ahead when you're ready.
Good morning again, Chair Dondero Loop and members of the committee. For the record, I'm Cisco Aguilar, Secretary of State. Joining me is Tim Hogan, Chief IT Manager for the Secretary of State's office. We are here this morning to present Senate Bill 483, which would make appropriations to address regularly scheduled equipment replacement needs in departments across the agency. First, Section 1 of the bill appropriates $309,675 for the replacement of equipment, including desktop and laptop computers, heavy-duty printers, networking firewalls, and video conferencing equipment. All equipment identified as no longer covered by the manufacturer's warranty. State guidelines were followed in identifying items specified. Section 2 appropriates $28,297 for the replacement of mail opening and insertion equipment. Legacy equipment is out of warranty and no longer supported by the manufacturer. Section 3 appropriates the sum of $15,960 to purchase standing desks for some of our staff. These are for ergonomic reasons. Finally, Section 4 appropriates $11,720 to replace phone agent headsets and associated equipment. These are needed due to regular attrition for staff whose job duties require answering phones throughout the workday. That concludes my presentation. We are available for questions.
Thank you very much, sir. And are there any questions or comments on this bill? Okay, seeing none, we'll go to those in support of 483, Carson City, Las Vegas. Online, BPS when you're ready.
Chair, we have no cause to testify in support at this time.
Thank you very much. We'll go to opposition here in Carson City, Las Vegas. Phone lines when you're ready.
Chair, we have no cause in the queue to testify in opposition at this time.
Thank you very much. And we'll go to neutral here in Carson City, Las Vegas, on the phone lines when you're ready.
Chair, we have no cause in the queue to testify in neutral at this time.
Thank you very much. Any closing comments, Secretary? Okay, then we'll close the hearing on 483, and we will go to Senate Bill 484. Please go ahead when you're ready.
All right. Good morning, Chair Dondero Loop and members of the committee. For the record, I'm Cisco Aguilar, Secretary of State. Joining me is Deputy Secretary for Elections, Mark Velashin. We are here this morning to present Senate Bill 484, which would make appropriations to address 5 areas of election administration that are sorely needed of resources. First, Section 1 of the bill would appropriate $40,000 to implement and support the conduct of risk-limiting audits. These requested funds will pay for the licensing and services for the software to conduct the risk-limiting audits after every election conducted in Nevada. Section 2 appropriates $877,414 for the cost of materials for voter education and outreach. These funds will facilitate an enduring voter education and outreach campaign that will connect the voters across the state through a variety of mediums. I firmly believe that education and outreach are the antidotes to the poison spread by mis- and disinformation campaigns, and this appropriation will make it possible. Section 3 appropriates the sum of $90,000 to facilitate a contract for the signature verification process. These services get used by Nevadan voters when the signature on their ballot envelope does not appear to match what is on their voter registration, and it is a critical part of ensuring that their votes are counted. Section 4 appropriates $228,000 to facilitate ballot tracking. Voters want to be able to locate in the mail stream, and in this appropriation will enable them to track their ballot like they track their pizza. Finally, Section 5 appropriates $25 million from the general fund and $5.5 million from the Help America Vote Act, or HAVA grant, for the implementation of Assembly Bill 422 from 2021 and the transition to a statewide top-down voter registration database and election management system, referred to as VREMS. Alongside a Project Orion, this is a huge priority for my administration. VREMS will benefit the public, election officials, and everyone else who has an interest in elections across this state. It will truly be a remarkable improvement upon the status quo, and it's something that I am personally very excited about. This funding will ensure that we can have this system in place for the primary election of June 2024, and we'll be able to work out any concerns in advance of the general election next November. We all know that the eyes will be on Nevada. We have to be ready, and we will do everything we can to ensure that our elections are run as smoothly as possible. VREMS will be the tool that gets us there. That concludes my presentation. We are available for questions.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions or concerns? Senator Neal.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I have a question on Section 4. You said that it's a ballot tracking mechanism that is like, you use the analogy of pizza, but what happens, first, this wasn't discussed in the joint, so in the terms of the ballot tracking, can you give a little bit more information about the software and how it works if something is, you know, there's some kind of internet challenge, or, you know, it gets lost or you can't identify it? So I need just a little bit more information, because I don't remember this being in your budget when we had our joint conversations.
Thank you for the question, Senator. Chair, Mark Washington, Deputy Secretary of State for Elections, for the record. Chair, through you to Senator. Senator, specifically in regards to this ballot tracking request, it was part of the joint request process. We've identified this for the last few years, and in fact, it was in place, during the 2022 election cycle. The software that we used previously was one called Ballot Tracks that you may have heard about. It uses, there's a series of ways that it uses everything from the mail, intelligent mail ballot tracking system that the U.S. Post Office provides. But ultimately, from the time a ballot is created at the vendor and then put into the mail stream, there are certain wickets that, as that ballot goes through and the barcodes are scanned, it provides a text message, email, or voicemail notification to the voter, notifying them that your ballot has been created, it has been shipped to you. You have mailed it back to the clerk's office, the clerk has received it. There are different wickets like that, essentially. And because of the nature of the process and how it relies on the ballot itself, it will enable the voter to see where it's at. And if it perhaps gets hung up somewhere and is not moving along, it will enable the voter to make a call to the clerk or the election official to ask more specifically about what's going on. So it doesn't rely on the voter themselves having an effective internet connection at their house. It's really more of a push mechanism to provide that reassurance to the voters.
Madam Chair, follow. Thank you. I appreciate that response. And then on section 5, the 25 million for HAVA. So this is a one-shot. So this 25 million is going to take care of this voter registration database, or is there going to be a second ask? Because I guess here's my concern. We're hearing a lot of one-shots that are outside of the budget, and I don't understand, like, we sat for like weeks listening to everyone's presentation, even at night, and so why are these large amounts not included in the actual, like, budget, and they're being run as like one-shots?
First of all, it was listed in the governor's recommended budget as a one-shot appropriation because it is a one-shot. This is an opportunity for us to build the infrastructure we need, not only for the state, but the 17 counties throughout the state. We've worked with them to develop the vision for this system, and it's everything that everybody wants in the counties to make their jobs easier. You know, the clerks in the counties used to spend a portion of their time on elections, but given the attention elections have now grown, they have other responsibilities in some of these counties, and we need to figure out to build in efficiencies for them to be able to do what we need them to do at the same time. And it was in our original presentation to the committee.
So thank you for that, because it's my understanding that this hadn't been heard before when I've asked staff, that it hadn't been heard before and it wasn't in the budget. And so I don't know where the discrepancy is, because I think there would have been a lot of conversation about HAVA and all of these other things, because we spent hours in committee. And so this isn't like, this isn't an attack on the Secretary of State. I just don't understand, like, why there's just to me, weirdness. But, okay, thanks.
Senator Goicoechea, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I guess as I'm looking at this and I see $90,000 for the contract for signature verification, I mean, that's one person. I clearly believe across the state that is an issue, and the fact that how we are verifying these signatures, I guess I'm just surprised. I'm assuming you're going to roll some of the other 25 million up to backfill and support that as well through the HAVA program. But I just, you know, $90,000 for a signature verification project in the state just won't reach.
Thank you for the comment, Senator. Mark Voloshin, Deputy Secretary of State for Elections for the record. Chair through you to the Senator. The $90,000 is not for a position, and just to clarify, you may remember that during the election cycle, especially now that we have mail ballots, when the signature on the envelope itself doesn't match what's in the voter registration. Currently, and without this appropriation, the voters, we have to rely on phone numbers, on emails, on letters to try to contact the voter, to ask them to confirm that this is in fact their signature. This appropriation is for an additional service where voters could use their cell phones to cure their ballot as well. So it's not the signature verification process that I believe that you're referring to, where someone is comparing physically that signature on the envelope to the registration. That will happen separately. This is when the signatures don't match, to enable the voters. Because what we found is that without having this type of service, if we mail out a letter to the voter asking them, oftentimes people don't read their mail or won't see that notice until after the deadline has passed. So this enables voters to quickly see, oh wait, I have to cure it, provide the information needed to the clerk or registrar so that they can make sure that their vote is counted.
Madam Chair, if I may just follow up on that. The only thing I see wrong with it, you're short a couple of zeros. You should be around $9 million to do the verification. 90,000 just isn't enough. And so I hope you stay focused on that. I think we're all very, very nervous about making sure that signature is, and you can verify it. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. And a couple things. I'm going to call the GFO up to possibly clarify some of this one-shot discussion. But I'll let Senator Titus ask her question while the GFO is coming up, unless you want to wait until you hear from her. Okay. Okay. So the GFO is going to explain some of this process about the one shot. And so with that, thank you very much and welcome, Ms. Stevenson. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Amy Stevenson. I'm the director for the Governor's Finance Office. In response to the one-shot money right now, with the excess fiscal year 23 funds for these one-time expenditures, this is why, because it's the year that we want to spend it in fiscal year 23. These one-shots is why you're getting it and not in the budget. These are all fiscal year 23. Did that make sense, or? Okay.
So thank you, Madam Chair. So when you say the excess in 2023, what's the excess in 2023 that you're spending?
It's around $1 billion.
So you're spending $1 billion in 23, knowing that this in 24, these won't repeat themselves, correct?
Correct. They're one shot in nature, so they're one time. What do you mean by repeat yourselves, I guess? Sorry.
Well, right, we do a budget over the biennium. So the question is, why wouldn't you have just placed these larger numbers in the actual budget so it could just show up as these are expenditures that are being calculated over the biennium instead of having a series of one-shots that represent $1 billion?
Thank you, Madam Chair, through you to Senator Neal, Amy Stevenson for the record again. So there are two different pots of money, so to speak. So there is the one shot for one-time expenses, and then there's ongoing expenses. So when we put it into the budget for the ongoing expenses, and I probably can show you better offline if you want me to go through, because I don't think I'm explaining it well, but so we do the one shot because there's a fund balance at the end that we have to, it's math, early in the morning. So fiscal year 23, we ended up with more money than we had anticipated due to economic recovery and possibly ARPA in there, I'm not sure. But so we ended up with more. We cannot, per statute, we can't be over. There's a formula that goes into a rainy day fund, and then we can't be over, I think it's 5% at ending fund balance. So with that, we use the one-shots to get down to the ending fund balance. And then fiscal year 24, It's the same thing. That's why we have some one-shots in fiscal year '24 and then the budget. We have to hit that 5%, between 5 and 10% of the ending fund balance.
So let me get this right. So you did it to bring down the in-fund balance for FY '23 and then decided that we would do 1 billion in one-shots. Isn't that still the same effect of spending the money? Just because it looks like it's a lower balance on the sheet, you're still spending or putting in a request for $1 billion in one-shots. And I think the conversation that I've been trying to sort through my mind is that it is not in consideration of anything in regards to what the legislators are actually having to put forward in their request, and there's 1 billion in one-shots, where is that all of the, that's all of the excess for '23, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so in this excess that is being requested, was there any consideration of what the legislators' appropriations would be, since there's 63 of us?
For the record, Amy Stevenson, Director of Governor's Finance Office, through you, Madam Chair, to Senator Neal. This is the governor's recommended portion of the one-shot, so if it's not what if we want to recommend it, Yes.
if there's a disagreement in terms of wanting to spend $1 billion on one side versus having our own respective appropriations taken care of, then this is a point of negotiation. I won't say negotiation, that we can recommend that we spend what we want out of the billion, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I just want to be clear, because it just seemed like a lot of money, and the legislature or the legislators have not had a chance to really get their ask on the table. And so, anyway, we can talk offline. I just don't get it. I don't get like why we're doing this. Well, the balance sheet is low, but we're going to spend $1 billion over here. It's just strange to me, but thanks for the indulgence, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, if I could make a
Yes,
comment.
please, go ahead.
Senator Neal, I would gladly work with fiscal staff and you offline to kind of go through how this works. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for coming forward. And I'm going to let Mr. Thorley have just a minute of explanation, and then we'll take this offline.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Wayne Thorley for the record, LCB Fiscal Analysis Division. So just to piggyback off of what Ms. Stevenson said, and hopefully to add a little bit more clarification, this is about fund balance management from the governor's office, as Ms. Stevenson mentioned. Because of excess revenue collections beyond what was budgeted in FY23, as well as a large fund balance transfer from the end of FY22 to FY23, there is much more unrestricted general fund available in '23 than previously anticipated. If that money in '23 is not spent, it would roll over into FY24, the start of the upcoming biennium, which is the budget that the governor submitted for. However, in rolling that money forward, there's a certain amount in excess of 7% that would go to the rainy day account because of a statutory trigger, and it currently exists in state law. So by recommending one-time expenditures in FY23 to bring the fund balance in '23 below that trigger level, then it would prevent money from going into the rainy day account and would allow more money to be spent. So while these are FY23 appropriations, all the one-shots that the committee's been hearing over the last several days, the expenditures would take place in the upcoming biennium, but they would be recorded on the fund balance in '23 to bring that fund balance down. So again, it's just about managing the fund balance, as Ms. Stevenson mentioned.
Can I ask one question? Is the trigger statutory, or was it created?
Wayne Thorley for the record, LCB Fiscal Analysis Division. So in state law, in Chapter 353 of NRS, and I think it's 288, 353 through 288, that creates the rainy day account. There are two triggers in statute for transfers to the rainy day account. One of them is a 1% of the estimated general fund revenue collection from the economic forecast projection. That gets transferred to the rainy day account at the beginning of every fiscal year. The second is if there's an ending fund balance over 7% of operating appropriations, then 40% of that excess goes into the rainy day account. So we call it the 40% over 7%. And so it's, for example, if you have an ending fund balance that's at 10% of operating appropriations, that 3% that's above 7 to 10, 40% of that excess goes into the rainy day account, and it's automatic, it's in statute.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you again. And so, Secretary, I actually have a question when you return to the desk. And I don't know that you have a detailed explanation, but because 25 million is a lot of money, can you tell me a little bit about how that money will be spent?
Madam Chair, Cisco Aguilar, Secretary of State. The original initiative of this project was based on the fact that the 21 legislature mandated a top-down voter registration system. So with that in mind and understanding the needs of the state to run secure and fair elections, we went deeper into ensuring that we are providing the best technology we can to not only the state's office, but the 17 clerks across the state. I will let Mark go into more detail about that expenditure.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Mark Voloshin for the record. And thank you for the question, Chair. Well, we have provided some information regarding the details of the $25 million and how we anticipate spending it. Ultimately, there's a cost for the commercial off-the-shelf product itself. There's staff and services to be able to modify that to meet our statutes. There's additional independent verification and validation that we're looking at as well to make sure that the contract is adhered to from both the state point of view as well as from the vendor that's providing that service. And then also, again, you recognize that the timeline relates more specifically to the June primary. The fact of the matter is we have a presidential preference primary in February. So as we're working towards the implementation of this program overall, we do have to make sure that the presidential preference primary, of course, goes off as smoothly and efficiently as Nevadans deserve. So that, I think, is a brief overview. I do anticipate continuing to work with the Senate staff to make sure that as we continue to gain clarity beyond what we already have access to, that we provide that to the staff so that the members can be made aware.
Thank you very much. I recognize that there are some timelines that are not flexible within your office that might be flexible in another office, for example. So are you assured and clear on the timeline that that will be met?
Madam Chair, Cisco Aguilar, Secretary of State, absolutely.
Thank you very much. All right, Senator Titus, thanks for your patience.
No, thank you, Madam Chair, for the question. Back to the bill itself, and all great questions and discussion. On Section 2, back to actual bill, you're going to spend $877,000 for voter outreach and education. Will that be in place before the presidential primary? I mean, we're all talking about this timeline, this bigger picture of stuff that will be ready by June, but February 6th is right around the corner. So I'm wondering if that will be initiated sooner than later.
Madam Chair, through you to Senator Titus, absolutely. The concern with the presidential primary is the fact that that is a political primary. We have a large number of nonpartisan voters who are going to receive a blank ballot or show up at a ballot polling location and see that they're not able to vote. That could, with same-day voter registration, that could put a potential stress on our poll workers and our system. So we need people to understand that if they are planning to participate in the primary process, they need to register with a political party.
Good, thank you for that, because I think that's critical, and I appreciate that you're going to do that, because I could see that very scenario that you're discussing just around the corner here. So hopefully, as soon as you can, you initiate that process. Another question, Madam Chair? Yes. So the other, you talked about your ballot tracking. Throughout this last election cycle, I had lots of constituents say, hey, I can't find my ballot, and it's not there, but in reality it was, but the signature perhaps wasn't cured. So I'm curious about this process. Will there be there's going to be a barcode on these ballots, these these mail ballots that you're going to send out, and there's going to be instructions that we have to scan that in order to follow it. Is that how this will work?
Thank you for the question, Senator. Mark Voloshin, for the record, through you, Chair, to the Senator. Ultimately, the voters' involvement will be more passive than not. The barcodes will be scanned at different steps in the process at the post office facilities as well as the clerk or registrar's offices, and then the notification will come to the voter. The big step for them will be really signing up for the service, and because it is going to be integrated into the VREM system that the Secretary was just talking about, the goal overall is for a greatly increased ability for voters to understand where their ballot's at in the process, so that they can have a much greater level of confidence, frankly, that the ballot's moving as appropriate and has gotten to the appropriate election officials' hands in a timely manner.
So when you reach out to those voters that you said you're going to prior to the presidential primary, you are going to also discuss that process with this new mail ballots, because I think voter education is going to be the key here. And I'm not surprised about top-down. We have talked about that, we've spoken about the top-down with the prior Secretary of State. This is an issue that has been something that we need to do to clean these voter registrations, and so thank you for being aggressive with this. Again, there's a lot of concerns, certainly in who I represent and statewide, so I appreciate getting out there, and I'll be looking forward to how this process works. Thank you. Thank
Madam Chair, through you to Senator Titus, in addition to that, it allows our election clerks to plan appropriately. If they can know the number of outstanding ballots that are either in the processing of the mail system and arriving at their location in the future, will help them plan for capacity to be able to count our ballots in an efficient time.
So then I'm going to follow up on that, if that's okay, Madam Chair. So one of the issues that we were all concerned of at the end of election cycle in the general, our clerks had no idea how many were still out there. So that they could plan on their staffing and getting these ballots counted. And so with this process, they will know that, hey, there's still 8,000 ballots out there. And so they'll be able to do that in a more timely manner.
Madam Chair, through you to Senator Titus, absolutely. Our ability to understand where ballots are at a certain moment in time in real time. This also helps with the ballot curing process too. It makes it more efficient for the voter to be able to participate in the curing process instead of having 5 individuals show up at a location knocking on the door saying you need to cure a ballot, because that's frustrating to the voter as well as what we heard.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Madam Chair.
And a lot of the information we gathered to make this what we needed from a system perspective was talking to the clerks throughout the state about their needs and their ability to do what they need to do and what their wants are, but also talking to voters and understanding what the issues are and being able to have the data to make real decisions on voting processes and making sure that we are remaining accessible to every voter, no matter where they live in this state.
Thank you very much for that information. With that, any additional questions or comments? Senator, okay. All right. I think that's good. Thank you very much. So with that, we will go to those in support of Senate Bill 484 in Carson City, in Las Vegas, and on the phone lines, BPS, when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair. We have no callers to testify in support.
Thank you very much. Opposition here in Carson City, Las Vegas, on the phone lines when you're ready.
We have no callers testifying in opposition at this time.
Thank you very much. And in neutral here in Carson City, Las Vegas, and on the phone lines, BPS, when you're ready.
We have no callers testifying in neutral at this time.
Thank you very much. Any closing comments?
Madam Chair, Cisco Aguilar, Secretary of State, thank you. I understand this is a big investment, but this is one that's necessary to continue to build upon the infrastructure in our election system. Nevada runs some of the most secure and fair elections in the entire country. This will continue to propel us to be an example and be a model for the rest of the country and continue to build that voter confidence that we can continue to have voter turnout increase across the state. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for that closing remark. All right, with that, I will close the hearing on Senate Bill 484, and we'll open the hearing on Senate Bill 485. Please go ahead when you're ready.
Good morning, Chair Dondero Loop and members of the committee. For the record, I'm Cisco Aguilar, Secretary of State. Joining me is the Nevada Business Portal Administrator, Paul Tiflo. We are here this morning to present Senate Bill 485, which would appropriate funds for the business registration and filing system. If you've used Silver Flume at all, you know it's frequently broken, and this costs our state revenue, harms our image with the public, and does a massive disservice to our business owners. In order to prevent Nevada from bleeding any more business, I am requesting this one-shot investment of funds to cover a broad range of improvements to both the front end and the back end of the commercial recording system. We have named this effort Project Orion, after Orion Clemens, Mark Twain's brother and the first Secretary of the Nevada Territory. The bulk of the Project Orion is in Section 2, which appropriates $15 million for the cost of the enhancements and modification to the office's business registration and filing solution, which also includes related costs for computer hardware, software, and contract employees. The other sections relate to requests for necessary updates to our commercial recording system, infrastructure, website, and more. We have ensured that there is no overlap on these projects and are putting guardrails in place to ensure that the state's investment in this system is well spent. We currently have a small team of vendor resources dedicated to solving the problems within our system. Approximately 28% of the Project Orion funding will be allocated to the vendor to ramp up their development and QA resources dedicated to Nevada. QA is quality assurances, which will increase the pace of solving outstanding bugs and future implementations. Approximately 25% of this funding will be allocated to the MSA contract employees that will help us manage the program portfolio of projects and assist with IT implementation where we are shorthanded. We know we cannot afford to make mistakes or deliver a shoddy product to the public. An additional 10% be allocated to vendors that will ensure we stay on track with this portfolio, help with oversight, and ensure we are building towards the future of business licensing in Nevada. Approximately 20% will be invested in IT security, automated testing, and disaster recovery features for the business portal. Approximately 17% will be allocated to features that will improve the overall customer experience and provide features that will put Nevada back in the forefront of the business licensing technology. This concludes our presentation. We are available for any questions.
Thank you very much. And question, Senator Neal.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So will this 15 million fix the common, it's the common portal where you can, it attaches to the local jurisdictions? I forget what it's called, but it's a common area after you register, and then there's a second piece that pops up.
Madam Chair, through you to Senator Neal, that is the one-stop system, that's AB 14 that we are proposing to work with local governments on. That is a secondary step to this. First, we need to fix the system as it is to be able to implement future changes. Right now, the system's so broken that we can't, even if we were to implement a new system, we wouldn't be able to take the data out of the current system and move it to the new system. So there are upgrades and necessary fixes on the current system to be able to function at a minimum level.
So the 15 million is only going to take care of one part. Are the local governments going to share in the cost of fixing the one-stop portal, the common piece?
Madam Chair, through you to Senator Neal, Cisco Regular Secretary of State, that is part of the conversation. We are going to work over the next 2 years to come up with a plan and vision to implement the one-stop if AB 14 is implemented.
I don't have that in front of me. So it's a conversation, but it doesn't mandate that the local governments participate or have a cost sharing?
That would be part of the conversation.
Okay.
Madam Chair, through you to Senator Neal, that is part of the conversation.
Thank you very much. Any additional questions on this particular item? And I appreciate the name and the time on this, because you're right, it's really a difficult piece. So thank you very much. With seeing no more comments or questions, then we'll go to those in support here in Carson City.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Paul Moratic with the Vegas Chamber. The Chamber is in support of SB 485. As you've heard, the silver flume system currently is less than ideal. As many of you know, it does cost the state money and the business community money trying to integrate with that system. We believe this investment is a sound fiscal policy that will provide cost savings, not just to the business community, but to the state. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you, and thank you for joining us this morning. Any additional support in Carson City? Seeing none. Las Vegas, any support in Las Vegas? Any on the lines, BPS, when you're ready.
If you would like to testify in support of SB 485, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. We have no callers testifying in support at this time.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Opposition here in Carson City, in Las Vegas, on the phone lines, BPS, when you're ready.
If you would like to testify in opposition for SB 485, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. We have no calls testifying in opposition at this time.
Thank you very much, and we'll go to neutral here in Carson City, in Las Vegas, and on the phone lines, BPS, when you're ready.
If you would like to testify in neutral for SB 485, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. We have no callers testifying in neutral at this time.
Thank you very much. And with that, closing comments, Secretary?
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Cisco Aguilar, Secretary of State, thank you for the opportunity of considering this investment. If you look at the past 5 years of business filings and corporate filings, we've lost about 30% of our market share as a state to Wyoming, to Idaho, and South Dakota. With this investment, we'll be able to gain back some of that market share and be able to deliver additional revenues to the general fund to invest in our state. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Appreciate that. Thank you very much. All right, with that, I'll close the hearing on Senate Bill 485, and I believe that is the end of the Secretary's bills. That means the GFO gets 2 favors because she gave up one of her favors to the Secretary. So when you are ready, we'll start back at the top of the agenda with Senate Bill 456. We do have one correction, and I'm sorry, but we pulled Senate Bill 479, and we should have been pulling Senate Bill 481. So we will do Senate Bill 456, and then we'll jump to Senate Bill 462, pulling Senate Bill 481. All right, please go ahead when you are ready.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Jack Robb, Director of Department Administration, for the record. This morning, Mandy Bowsmith was Division Administrator of HR, and I are here to present SB 456, which makes appropriations to the Office of Finance in the Governor's Office for the cost of leases, furnitures, and training of state employees. Section 1 calls out an amount of $50 million for cost of leases and furnitures of state offices. Section 2 calls out $5 million for training of state employees. With that, that concludes my presentation. We can stand for any questions.
All right, Senator Titus, go ahead, please.
Thank you. When I was looking at these bills last night and preparing, I was appalled by the amount of money that we do for our leases. And I'm just wondering if that is a dramatic increase in the lease amount, and if that's standard behavior, or is that something that we've done in the past? It just seems a rather, if I'm looking at this, $50 million for leases of furniture. So can you explain that and why we don't purchase them? It's money out the door anyway, so can you explain that?
Jack Robb, Director of Department Administration, through you, Senator, or through you, Chair, to Senator Titus. The $50 million is a combined total. We are purchasing around 930,000 square feet of office, and with that, we will have a tremendous furniture need. So a good portion of that dollar amount will go towards purchasing furniture to be able to relocate people. Another cost that will be associated with that will be moving people into those locations out of their current leased locations. Currently, we lease 2.1 million square feet of office in the state of Nevada. So with this purchase that we're planning this year, that still leaves us half of lease spaces, half the space that is required will be leased, and we don't have enough space for current employees. A lot of agencies gave up lease space to help balance the budget during the COVID time. One agency I know has over 200 employees that are working from home because they do not have an office to return to. So those are some of the things we're trying to work through with this $50 million.
Thank you for that. And follow up, Madam Chair. So just logistics, when you move these folks, you don't move their furniture?
Jack Robb, for the record, through you, Chair Don Daraloop, to Senator Titus. to maximize the building space that we're purchasing. Currently, we are a 75-25 state, 75% office space, 25% open cubicle area. The buildings we are purchasing are just the opposite. They're 25% office, 75% cubicle. And to make sure we maximize the value of those buildings, we are going to have them engineered and designed to accommodate the proper number of people. And we just do not own that type of furniture to do that at this point.
Okay, thank you. That's what I needed to hear. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Senator Harris.
Thank you, Chair. So if I'm hearing you correctly, making all state employees go back into the office is going to cost us about $50 million. Is that right?
Jack Robb, for the record, no, that is not correct. Without a doubt, that is not correct. We are trying to get out of lease space. When agencies, through leasing services, internal leasing services, pay 98 and it's going to be 94 cents per square foot per month, and the open market in Las Vegas is 206 to 250 per square foot per month. We've run all the numbers. There will be tremendous savings in purchasing these buildings over leasing and over building. So it's a holistic approach to getting office space that is appropriate for state employees, that meets the needs of the state and saves the state money in the end. A very small portion is return to work.
Okay, so the reason why I'm a little confused, I think, is because I heard you say that we're making savings over building or leasing, but I don't hear the comparison over allowing people to continue to stay home and work where it makes sense and leasing all this new space to make sure that there's enough space for every state employee to work in an office. Is there some estimation of how much additional space we need and it's going to cost us and additional office furniture to require every state employee to be back into an office versus allowing them to telework if it makes sense?
Jack Robb, for the record, through you, Chair, to Senator Harris. We are not anticipating leasing any additional new space. That's why we're trying to purchase space in both Carson City and in Las Vegas. So I'm not anticipating leasing any new space. We have a tremendous opportunity with the campus that we're looking at purchasing in Southern Nevada to get accommodations for state employees to return, for the public to come to one location to be able to do business with the state. The cost of returning employees is minimal in the whole grand scheme of things. So we will be leasing no more additional space to bring people back.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. And I guess my follow-up question would be, because we had this discussion, of course, in joint full about these buildings, but can you tell me, Mr. Robb, is the 50 million for sure, like what we're going to spend? Could it be 40 million? Could it be, won't be over that probably, but is there a chance that that number will be altered in any way?
Jack Robb, Director of Park Administration, thank you for the question. I think the 50 million should cover what we will make sure the 50 million covers what we're going to do. With the office space that we are going to occupy at the McCarran Center in Las Vegas, our plan is to, if an agency needs a building for 100 people, we're not going to sit them in a building that will fit 100 people. We're going to leave some room for growth. And with that thought process, we will not fully furnish these buildings at the beginning. We're going to furnish them to an 80% level. And then in future years, we would finish out that other 20% when the needs are there. So it's going to happen over time.
Thank you very much. And while 50 million is a little bit of a shell shock, I do believe we need to value and respect our employees and give them clean, safe, productive place to work. So, all right, any additional questions or comments on this particular bill? All right, thank you very much. All right, with that, I will go to those in support for Senate Bill 456 here in Carson City, in Las Vegas. On the phone lines, BPS when you're ready.
If you would like to testify in support for Senate Bill 456, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. We have no callers in the queue testifying in support at this time.
Thank you very much. We'll go to opposition here in Carson City, in Las Vegas. On the phone lines, BPS when you're ready.
If you would like to testify in opposition for SB 456, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. We have no callers testifying in opposition.
Thank you very much, and we'll go to neutral here in Carson City, in Las Vegas. And on the phone lines, BPS when you're ready.
If you'd like to testify in neutral for SB 456, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. We have no callers testifying neutral at this time.
Thank you very much. All right, with that, any closing comments? All righty, we'll close the hearing on Senate Bill 456, and we'll go to the listening to Senate Bill 462. Please come forward and good morning, Ms. Montooth, and please go ahead when you're ready.
Good morning. I'm Stacy Montooth, the Executive Director of the Nevada Indian Commission, here to present Bill SB 462 to make an appropriation for regularly scheduled updates for the Nevada Indian Commission's IT requirements. This would purchase needed hardware and software and involves a transaction of $5,457. I stand ready for questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions on this particular bill? Okay, seeing none, then stand by for just a minute, and we'll go to anyone in support of Senate Bill 462 here in Carson City, in Las Vegas, and on the phone lines, BPS when you're ready.
If you would like to testify in support for Senate Bill 462, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. We have no callers testifying in support at this time.
Thank you very much. Those in opposition in Carson City, Las Vegas, on the phone lines, BPS when you're ready.
If you would like to testify in opposition for Senate Bill 462, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. We have no callers testifying in opposition at this time.
Thank you very much. And we'll go to neutral here in Carson City, Las Vegas, and on the phone lines, BPS when you're ready.
If you'd like to testify in neutral for SB 462, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. We have no callers testifying in neutral at this time.
Thank you very much. Any closing comments?
Have a great day.
Thank you. You as well. Thank you for being here today. All right. With that, I'll close the hearing on Senate Bill 462, and we will go to Senate Bill 463. Go ahead when you are ready.
Thank you, Chair Dondero Loop. Good morning, members of Senate Committee on Finance. For the record, Tony Manfredi, Executive Director of Nevada Arts Council. I'm presenting Senate Bill 463 that appropriates $26,170 for the replacement of computer hardware and associated software that is in compliance with our EATS replacement schedule. Thank you for the opportunity to present to you today, and this concludes my presentation.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. Any questions on this particular item? All right, seeing none, we'll go to those in support in Carson City. Las Vegas, on the phone lines when you're ready.
If you would like to testify in support of SB 463, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. We have no callers testifying in support at this time.
Thank you very much. Opposition here in Carson City, Las Vegas, and on the phone lines, BPS when you're ready.
If you'd like to testify in opposition for SB 463, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. We have no callers testifying in opposition at this time.
Thank you very much, and we'll go to neutral here in Carson City, Las Vegas, and on the phone lines when you're ready.
If you would like to testify in neutral for SB 463, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. We have no callers testifying in neutral at this time.
Okay, thank you very much. Any closing comments?
Thank you for your time. Appreciate all you're doing.
That was easy, huh?
Sure.
Okay. All righty. Thank you very much for your time today. All right. We will go to Senate Bill. We'll close the hearing on Senate Bill 463, and we will go to Senate Bill 464. And please go ahead when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair, members of the committee. My name is Marcy Riva, and I serve as the Executive Director of the Department of Indigent Defense Services. I am here to introduce Senate Bill 464, which makes an appropriation to and authorizes the expenditure of money by the Office of the State Public Defender for the replacement of computer hardware and associated software. This is all in compliance with the EATS replacement schedule. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments? All right. With that being said, we'll go to support here in Carson City, in Las Vegas, and on the phone lines, BPS, when you're ready.
If you would like to testify in support of SB 464, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. We have no callers testifying in support at this time.
Thank you very much. Opposition here in Carson City, Las Vegas, and on the phone lines, BPS, when you're ready.
If you would like to testify in opposition for SB 464, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. We have no callers testifying in opposition at this time.
Thank you very much. And we will go to neutral here in Carson City, Las Vegas, and on the phone lines, BPS, when you're ready.
If you would like to testify in neutral for SB 464, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. We have no callers testifying in neutral at this time.
Thank you very much. Any closing remarks?
No, thank you very much.
All right, don't go anywhere. I think you have 2 other bills, so we're going to jump to yours so that we can get you all at once. So we'll go back to Senate Bill 479. 479. So go ahead when you are ready.
Thank you, Chair, members of the committee. My name is Marcy Riva, and I serve as the Executive Director of the Department of Indigent Defense Services, here to introduce Senate Bill 479, The purpose of this bill is for a supplemental appropriation to the Department of Indigent Defense Services in the sum of approximately $2.5 million for an unanticipated shortfall to fund costs in excess of the maximum contribution of counties for the provision of indigent defense services. This appropriation is supplemental to that which was made in Section 80 of Chapter 310 in 2021, and I'm available for any questions if there are any.
Any questions? Okay, seeing none, we will go to support for Senate Bill 479. Please go ahead when you're ready.
Good morning, Madam Chair. My name is Vincent Guthreau, Guthreau. First name is Vincent, Vinson. I serve as the Executive Director for the Nevada Association of Counties. We are in support of SB 479. Every county in Nevada funds indigent defense services up to the maximum contribution, and this is a reimbursement of those expended funds. And we just appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any additional comments here in Carson City, Las Vegas, and on the phone lines, BPS, for support when you're ready?
If you would like to testify in support of SB 479, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. We have no callers testifying in support at this time.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, we'll go to opposition here in Carson City, in Las Vegas. On the phone lines, BPS, when you're ready.
If you would like to testify in opposition for SB 479, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. We have no callers testifying in opposition at this time.
Thank you very much, and we'll go to neutral here in Carson City, Las Vegas. On the phone lines when you're ready.
If you'd like to testify in neutral for SB 479, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. We have no callers testifying in neutral at this time.
Thank you very much. Any closing remarks?
No, thank you.
All righty, then we'll close the hearing on Senate Bill 479, and we'll jump to Senate Bill 487. Go ahead when you're ready.
Thank you. Again, for the record, my name is Marcy Ryba, R-Y-B-A. I serve as the Executive Director of the Department of Indigent Defense Services, and I'm here to introduce SB 487. This bill makes an appropriation to the Department of Indigent Defense Services for replacement of computer hardware and associated software, which is in line with the EATS replacement schedule, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the committee? All righty, on this one, then we'll jump to those in support here in Carson City, in Las Vegas, and online, BPS, when you're ready.
If you would like to testify in support for Senate Bill 487, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. We have no callers testifying in support at this time.
Thank you very much, and we'll go to opposition here in Carson City, Las Vegas, and on the phone lines, BPS, when you're ready.
If you would like to testify in opposition for Senate Bill 487, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. We have no callers testifying in opposition at this time.
Thank you very much. And with that, we'll go to neutral here in Carson City, Las Vegas. On the phone lines, BPS, when you're ready.
If you would like to testify in neutral for SB 487, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. We have no callers in the queue testifying in neutral at this time.
Thank you very much. Any closing comments?
Just thank you very much for the opportunity and have a great day.
All righty, thank you very much. All right, with that, we will go back to Senate Bill. We'll close the hearing on that, and we will open up the hearing on Senate Bill 464. Oh, sorry. 477, just kidding. Senate Bill 477. It's a little bit like bingo, so.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. For the record, I'm Emmy Kowchek, Chief Deputy Director of the Nevada Department of Tourism and Cultural Affairs. I'm here to present SB 477, which makes various changes relating to the Department of Tourism and Cultural Affairs. SB 477 represents a much-needed restructuring of the department to better serve the important work of each of the agencies within it. The bill addresses 4 main points. 1, the creation of a Deputy of Tourism position. 2, the creation of an administrative and operations budget account. 3, the elimination of ex officio members of the Nevada Commission on Tourism. 4, the integration of the Nevada Magazine into the Division of Tourism. Together, the elements of the bill rectify many of the inequities that it resulted when the department was originally formed in 2011, an action that created funding support for the cultural agencies, but underserved the overall administrative and operational needs. Thank you for your time, and this concludes my presentation. I stand by for questions.
Thank you very much. Senator Titus.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for being here. Looking over this bill, I had some concerns about the change of the Nevada Magazine. It's something that my family has gotten for a long time. We save them. They're good resources. But adding it to Nevada Magazine and Visitor's Guide, I had some concerns that it kind of downgrades the value of the magazine itself. And just wondered the philosophy about now adding it Nevada Magazine and Visitor's Guide as opposed to having a Visitor's Guide that maybe will be more into advertising, locations, et cetera, whereas the Nevada Magazine, in my mind, had some really tremendous stories about Nevada. So just a little explanation on that philosophy.
Thank you for the question, Emmy Kowchek, for the record. We continue to write the long-form content in Nevada Magazine. So far, it's been about 1.5 years, and we've received quite a bit of feedback on positive feedback on the changes. And we're also able to reach many more people this way, and it still is getting to all of the subscribers, and we continue to do that. Now it's a free magazine, so we're actually reaching more people. Long-form content is also available on the website, and we continue to do that. We work with Nevada Magazine staff continually anyway, so this just kind of broadens their audience.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair, for the question.
Thank you very much. Additional questions on this particular item? All right, seeing none, hearing none, thank you very much. And we will go to support on Senate Bill 477 here in Carson City. In Las Vegas, on the phone lines, BPS when you're ready.
If you would like to testify in support for SB 477, please press *9 to take your place in the queue. We have no callers testifying in support at this time.
Thank you very much, and we'll go to opposition here in Carson City, Las Vegas, and on the phone lines, BPS when you're ready.
If you would like to testify in opposition for SB 477, please press *9 to take your place in the queue. We have no callers testifying in opposition at this time.
Thank you very much, and we'll go to neutral here in Carson City, in Las Vegas, on the phone lines, BPS when you're ready.
If you would like to testify in neutral for SB 477, please press *9 to take your place in the queue. We have no callers testifying in neutral at this time.
Thank you very much. And with that, any closing comments?
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you very much, and thank you for being here. All right, I'll close the hearing on Senate Bill 477, and we will open the hearing on Senate Bill 498. Please go ahead when you're ready.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Thank you, committee. My name is Myron Friedman, M-Y-R-O-N-F-R-E-E-D-M-A-N. I'm the administrator for the Division of Museums and History to present Bill 498. This is primarily for routine maintenance and upgrades to needed equipment, but also I have 4 adjustments I would like to make to 4 sections of Bill 498. In Section 5, a vehicle replacement request, due to the NEB's fleet vehicle costs no longer being available, the request is to increase the amount by $29,671, and this was a quote confirmed with a state vendor. On Section 13, this is to increase the amount by $18,315. Again, NEB's fleet vehicle costs no longer available.
Mr. Friedman, can I ask you, I hate to interrupt you, but when you give those increases, is that the total price? Or are you adding that to what's here so that we can have those totals?
Thank you, Chair. Myron Friedman, for the record. The numbers I'm giving you are to be added to the totals.
Do you have those totals?
I do.
Would you please give them, please?
Yes. Going back to item number 5, the total would be $57,485. Item number 13, the total would be $57,485. Item number 16 is a little more complicated in terms of the math. Again, this is a fleet vehicle replacement cost. The total amount to be added is $29,671. That would be added to the $156,072. Let me add that up for you. The total comes to $185,743. That's for item 16. And let me do some math in advance of the next item, just to make sure I have that number for you. Oops, that's not correct. Okay. Now, item 17 is a little different. So the item requested at 342, 373, we're requesting an increase of $252,626 to bring the total to $684,747. So the increase is related to the operational costs and the improvement needs as a result of having a rail bike vendor on the property at the Boulder City Railroad Museum.
Is that all the changes?
Those are all the changes, yes.
Okay. All right, would you go back to section 6, where we started the changes, and please go through the sections that we need some additional information on this.
Okay, that was section 5. This is a vehicle replacement at the Lost City Museum. The equipment there is extremely old. This is to purchase a new vehicle. And as I mentioned before, the original amount on in the bill was quoted from NEBS, but they have informed us that is no longer available. And so we have confirmed the quote with the state vendor, and that's what brought the amount up. And so that, whenever state vehicles are being requested, is the consistent reason for the increase.
Just go ahead, please.
Okay. Okay, so item 13, again, is a...
No, would you go back? I'm sorry to interrupt you. Would you go back to, you did section 5 for the vehicle replacement. Would you just go section by section, 6, 7, 8, 9, and explain each one?
I apologize, right. So, well, starting with section 1, computer replacement, this is per each schedule. That is 2941. This is at the Division of Museums and History. Software subscription, this is to upgrade on item number 2. Software subscription is to update our necessary software for all of the accounting work we're doing in the office. Item 3, section 3, 1350, is the Lost City Museum computer replacement according to the EAT schedule. Item number 4 is the $19,400. This is for deferred maintenance on the workshop building, the storage building, for some signage replacement, and for weatherproofing of the carport. And there's something called the Ramada Acatillo, which is a structure they have in their interpretive garden that also needs to be repaired. I mentioned item number 5. Item number 6, computer replacement per each schedule at 2870. And this is the Nevada Historical Society. Office furniture, item number 7. This is for ADA compliance for one of our employees there who needs to have a special desk. Item number 8, 2870, deferred maintenance at the Historical Society. Let me get this amount, 54,190. This is for plumbing and ceiling repair. That was item number 8. Item number 9, 2940 at the State Museum is for computer replacement per the EAT schedule. Item number 10, 2940. This is to replace the building surge protector at 5,250. That's for the entire building. Item 11, the collection database. This is for the natural history database. Let me get that. This is to have someone work on a temporary basis to assist in making the plant collection accessible for computer searches or database searches. 2943 is to replace computers at the History Museum in Las Vegas, per the EAT schedule. 2943, again, vehicle replacement. And again, the increase is due to the NEBS fleet cost no longer being available and the quote coming from an approved state vendor. Item 14 is for deferred maintenance. This is for an upgrade to apply safety elements to the stairway, to replace the water heater, exterior window washing. Item 1468. Oh, that's the one I just read. Item 15 is for computer replacement within the railroad division. And again, that's per the EAT schedule. Item 16, again, is that vehicle replacement with the adjusted amount due to the NEBS fleet vehicle cost no longer available. So that's a change from 156,072, and then I gave you that number earlier. Wait 1 second. Okay, that's 156,072 plus 671 is 185,743. That's item 16. Item 17 is deferred maintenance for the railroad museums. That comes to 342,000. That is a laundry list of items that I can give you. It includes refurbishing the floor of the depot in Ely, an alarm upgrade, and the annual inspection at all three of them, all three railroad museums. It's walkway maintenance in Ely, Nevada. It's retrograde sprinklers at the Nelson House. That's at the Carson City Railroad Museum. Also at the Carson City Railroad Museum is to install fencing around the museum for security. Also in Carson City to design a security system because they have no control over certain parts of the properties. This is to make sure no one is able to come in and vandalize equipment that is out in the open. And also to put in a coiling overhead door, also at the Carson City Museum. So all of that is covered by the 342,373. However, we would like to increase this amount by 252,626 to cover the increased operational costs and improvements needed to have a rail bike surface operating at the Boulder City Museum. This is an activity that's very popular with the community, with the city of Boulder City. It brings in thousands and thousands of visitors every month, impacting businesses, and is something that the city and the chamber and even the city of Henderson benefits from.
Okay. Does that complete all the projects and the money?
Myron Freeman for the record, yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, any questions on this particular item? Okay, so I just want to make sure we have an increase on section 5 to 57,485. We have an increase on section 13 to 57,485. We have an increase on section 16 to 185,743. And we have an increase on section 17 to $684,747. Are there any additional increases?
Myron Freeman for the record, no, Chair.
Thank you very much. All right, seeing no questions, Senator Goicoechea, any questions from you? I don't see Ely in here, Senator.
There was some pieces, yes.
Okay, good. All righty. Okay, with that being said, we will go to those in support of Senate Bill 498 in Carson City. In Las Vegas, on the phone lines, BPS when you're ready.
If you would like to testify in support of Senate Bill 498, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. We have no callers testifying in support at this time.
Thank you very much. We'll go to opposition here in Carson City, Las Vegas, on the phone lines, BPS when you're ready.
If you would like to testify in opposition for SB 498, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue. There are no callers in the queue to testify in opposition at this time.
Thank you very much. We'll go to neutral here in Carson City, Las Vegas, and on the phone line, please, BPS when you're ready.
If you would like to testify in neutral for SB 498, please press star 9 to take your place in the queue.
Good beautiful morning to you, Assemblywoman, Chairwoman, and the Committee of Finance. This is Dora Martinez representing the Disability Peer Action Coalition. We are in neutral right now. The Boulder Creek Museum, the rail trail, people with disabilities who are using wheelchairs, I think they said that I'm blind, but they said that they saw a blueprint that has steps going into the museum. And we want to integrate universal design for everyone with different abilities to access the museums. So we encourage Mr. Director to implement the plan, and also with accessible museums to be accessible via website. So everyone, especially K-12 students who can access websites and look at the museums, can read it, just like their counterparts who are sighted. With this, thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you very much. Any additional callers, BPS, in neutral?
That concludes all callers testifying in neutral.
Okay, thank you very much. Do you have any closing remarks, Mr. Friedman?
No, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Committee.
Thank you very much. All right, with that, we'll close the hearing on Senate Bill 498. And we are going to jump all the way, because we've already done the others, to Senate Bill 480. So, Director Settlemeyer, such a pleasure to see you. When you're ready, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just going to cue this up. Thank you for hearing Senate Bill 480, making an appropriation for supplemental firefighting activities and cost. We have today Ryan Shane here, and I believe Hillary Reynolds will probably be joining us as well if necessary to make any explanations. I believe there is an amendment that has already been discussed to change the number on this particular aspect of away from 15 million to the actual cost that we have. I think it comes to about 10.9 instead. Again, these are for expenses and costs that were incurred all the way back in 2021 for firefighting activities. With that, Madam Chair, we can stand for questions, or we could have a little bit of presentation by Mr. Shane. Your discretion.
Thank you very much. Senator Titus, did you have a question?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Madam Chair. So we've heard many, many times about the billing of the process of fighting fires, and there's a delay. Recently, we gave you some increase computer funding. Hopefully this will improve some of this backlog and getting these bills after the fact and so long. So just a clarification, this was from what year and what fires?
Thank you for that question, Madam Chair. To you, through you, or can I go direct? Thank you. Senator Titus, we'll have Ryan will complete some of the rest of these details, but some of these are dating back to 2021. The process within the firefighting occurs when you have a situation when the bills are supposed to come within 180 days. However, 25% of these, I'm told, come beyond that. And sometimes that's a problem when dealing with the federal government trying to get these bills in a reasonable period of time.
Right,
So-
and I agree, and that's exactly what I just said, that this reality here is this delayed billing, so you fight a fire now 2 years later, which is actually not a bad, some of these outstanding bills have been years beyond that, so a 2-year factor is actually an improvement, all said. So with that, what do we have, we know this future firefight may be a big fire year with all this green that we now have. So do we always run in arrears and have to pay after the fire, or do you have some money in the bank for fighting fires in the future?
Ryan Shane, for the record, Deputy Administrator with NDF, Nevada Division of Forestry, Chair through you to Senator Titus. We do fight fires with our existing budget, and we're generally budgeted for a portion of the season. It's on a 5-year average that we are budgeted. 5 years can ebb and flow depending on the fuel conditions and the amount of fires we have. So we can usually get started on the year. However, in this situation, we're asking for this money to pay for bills on hand, and we don't want to start the year in the negative.
Thank you for all that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. And Senator Gocochea, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And of course, this is something we've been dealing with historically, but you know, we continue, you know, you come to IFC for $5 million, we put $10 million in your budget, and now we've got another nearly 11. We've got to catch up at some time or figure out, I guess what really bothers me is we're not really figuring out what it is costing us on an annual basis. And it's not your fault, Director Settlemyer, or yours either. I realize you're new, but at some point we're going to have to figure out what it is costing us in any given year and how much is due us from the federal agencies or our out-of-state partners. You know, we have this transition, so I guess from my perspective, sitting on this committee, we haven't had a handle on it for the last 10 years, but we'd sure like to get one. Thank you.
Any additional questions? Would you confirm the amount again?
Ryan Shane, for the record, Madam Chair, the amount that we're requesting today has been revised to $10,942,830.
And just to confirm, this will catch us up.
Ryan Shane, for the record. It will catch us up with bills issued, and if I may address Senator Titus's kind of reference to the budgeted billing system that we acquired recently, that system has helped us out greatly. So we're, on our side, processing the bills. Everything in our shop is being processed within and under 2 years. So we're even partway through fiscal year 23 at this point with issuing our bills. There are some circumstances in which we're waiting on a federal grant award to be able to reconcile all the costs, because those grants can cover up to 75% of the firefighting cost for an entire fire. That's millions of dollars. So we're not going to issue those bills until we receive those. Those are pretty much the only ones that are outstanding or incidents that are still open, like the Caldor fire, where they haven't closed it. We just simply can't bill it otherwise. So this will catch us up with the bills we've processed. For the ones that haven't, it's kind of the same story Senator Gocochea was alluding to, is there's kind of always a cadence of bills coming into our shop and revenue for that matter too, and we try to manage this account to offset the costs with the revenues received for reimbursements. from the bills we've issued in a timely manner. What I've heard recently is the delay in the bills from the federal side and our adjoining states is largely due to a lack of positions and depth of experience. They've had nearly 100% turnover in their staffing, so they're having a bit of a challenge processing the bills on their side.
Senator Gokichev.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And it might get worse if we default, folks, so.
So just for information, when we've had a year like we've had with lots of snow and lots of rain and lots of flooding, do you have an anticipated amount? Like, do you say, oh, we're going to need X amount? Or is this always, oh my gosh, we had 3 extra fires and 4 extra whatevers, and so now this is what we owe?
Ryan Shane for the record. Thank you for the question, Madam Chair. The way that the agency, along with LCB and the GFO, have decided to budget for wildfire suppression in Nevada is a 5-year average. And when we do that, with an average, there's always a risk we're going to be under or over. Luckily, in the past few years, we've been under. We've had very little fires in these drought years because most of our land is low elevation and the fuel growth wasn't there. For a year like this year, we have high elevations that are protected with a record snowpack, so we anticipate less fires in that part of our state. However, as you mentioned, Senator Titus mentioned, there's quite a bit of low elevation country in our state that is growing quite a bit of fuel right now. And I would say the records for the past 40 years show that we could possibly burn up to 500,000 acres, and that's the 20-year average. But that's a projection. It's hard to nail this thing down. We're talking about acts of God with lightning and random acts of people, accidentally or sometimes purposefully setting fires. So it is almost impossible to nail this thing on the head in terms of a value that we anticipate.
Okay, thank you. Senator Titus.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for allowing me another question. When you mentioned the millions of acres that are potential, and I understand that, and I see it coming, but our state lands, the state-owned lands, is such a small portion to that. Most of these lands will be BLM lands, and as opposed to within a city charter, other people own private lands. So most of this money should be money that we actually collect, as opposed to we paying as a Fed responsibility for these lands, especially the BLM lands. So I'm just curious as to how we as a state seem to be always in arrears on this particular item, when indeed the federal government, who allegedly are controlling our land, should be the ones that are putting this money in.
Ryan Shane for the record, to you and through you.
You may go direct.
Thank you. Senator Titus. Good observation. We struggle with this all the time. The agency that quote unquote owns the billing process is the agency's land ownership where the fire is ignited most of the time. So if an ignition occurs on private land or state land and drifts and burns millions of acres on federal land, we can get stuck with all of the billing associated and the costs associated up front with fighting that fire. So,
all right, thanks for that clarification. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. All right, seeing no more questions or comments, we'll go to those in support of Senate Bill 480 here in Carson City. In Las Vegas, on the phone lines, BPS, when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair. If you would like to testify in support of SB 480, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to testify in support at this time.
Thank you very much. We'll go to opposition here in Carson City. Las Vegas, on the phone lines, BPS, when you're ready.
If you would like to testify in opposition of SB 480, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. No callers wish to testify in opposition.
Thank you very much, and we'll go to neutral here in Carson City, Las Vegas. On the phone lines, BPS when you're ready.
If you would like to testify in neutral for SB 480, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to offer neutral testimony at this time.
Okay, thank you very much. Any closing comments, Director? All righty, Senator Gokachia does.
Thank
So
you,
go
Madam
ahead,
Chair.
sir.
As just a comment as it relates to this budget, and clearly, the initial attack falls to us the first 24 hours. Typically, we would transition, no matter where the point of ignition occurs, in 48 hours. Then the IC, in most cases, will become a federal agency because they clearly, and that's where I see the real problem occurring in this. So it's probably something we need to do a little more work on and investigate. I realize we have the wildland fire protection programs out there where the counties are signing in, but really we lose control after 48 hours, and with that, the loss of control. So I don't know how we get there, how we shorten this up, and but clearly we can see with the millions of dollars we're spending annually and being 2 and 3 years in arrears in the billing process, we've got to fix this. Thank you. Just a comment.
I appreciate that, Senator. Thank you very much. All right, with that, I will close the hearing on Senate Bill 480, and I will go to Senate Bill 482. Please go ahead when you're ready.
Good morning. My name is Jessica Hoban. I am the Chief Financial Officer for the Office of the State Attorney General. Senate Bill 482 that is being heard today is associated with replacement ballistic vests for investigative positions that we have in our office. And the IT component is associated with Windows 11 upgrade, which is scheduled for replacement of the current system, which is Windows 10, that will be coming end of life in the upcoming biennium. The ballistic vests are requested for 2 separate budget accounts. One budget account is for the Attorney General's administrative budget account, and the other one is for the crime prevention budget account. The Windows 11 replacements are being funded in this bill to cover expenses in the Attorney General's administrative budget account, as well as the budget for Victims of Domestic Violence program. That's the end of my presentation, and I can answer any questions if needed.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions, Senator Titus?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And just to Section 3 of the ballistic vests, are these investigators that are wearing these ballistic vests, or are these the attorneys that are wearing the ballistic vests? Just curious.
Okay. For the record, Jessica Hoban, Office of the Attorney General. In Section 3, that budget account does house 3 investigator positions. The request in this bill is to replace 1 of the ballistic vests for the investigators.
Thank you, because that seemed like a small amount actually for that particular item. So thank you for the clarification. Thank you for the question, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. I frankly felt the same way in Section 4 with $248. It's been so long since we've seen that amount. It was really amazing. Okay, any additional questions or comments on this particular item? All right, with that, I'll go to support in Carson City, Las Vegas. On the phone lines, BPS when you're ready.
If you would like to offer testimony in support of SB 482, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to offer support at this time.
Thank you very much. We'll go to opposition here in Carson City, Las Vegas, and on the phone lines, BPS when you're ready.
To offer opposition testimony for SB 482, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to offer opposition testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. And we'll go to neutral here in Carson City on the phone, in Las Vegas, on the phone lines, BPS, when you're ready.
To offer initial testimony for SB 482, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to offer initial testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. And with that, any closing comments?
Jessica Hoban, Office of the Attorney General. Thank you very much for hearing the bill.
You are welcome. Thank you very much. And with that, I'll close the hearing on Senate Bill 482, and I'll open the hearing on Senate Bill 497. And please go ahead when you're ready.
Good morning, excuse me. Good morning, Madam Chair and committee members. My name is Carrie Embry, and I serve as the Governor's Consumer Health Advocate with Aging and Disability Services Division, and I'm here to present Senate Bill 497. Section 1 provides for if a qualified state employee serves as an arbitrator, the state agency that employs the arbitrator may retain the revenue paid by the out-of-network provider or third party pursuant to subsection 7 for the arbitrator's costs. Section 2, provisions of this act apply to money collected on or after July 1st, 2022. And Section 3, this act is effective upon passage and approval. This concludes the bill, the bill presentation, and we are available for any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there some questions, Senator Titus?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just for clarification on this arbitration. So again, it's if out-of-pocket expenses, somebody's billed, somebody goes to the ER, their insurance says, no, we're not paying for that. You went to the wrong place, so we can't bill the patient. So then there's the provider says, well, wait a minute here, I did the service in good faith, and now I want this money. And so then there's a negotiation. You get an arbitrator between the insurance company and the provider. At the end of the day, the losing party pays for the arbitrator, correct?
Carrie Embry, correct.
Okay, then this bill then just clarifies that the arbitrator, the person who loses pays the arbitrator the cost, not the state funds. It's the parties that lose.
Yes.
So can I clarify what the fiscal note is for the state of Nevada?
Mr. Thorley, please.
So Wayne Thorley for the record, LCB Fiscal Analysis Division. So to my knowledge, there have been no fiscal notes submitted for this bill.
All right, that's what I needed to hear, because we're looking at it on a fiscal side, so as opposed to a policy decision. So thank you for the clarification. That's where I was lost. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. Any additional questions or clarification needed? All right, thank you very much. With that, we'll go to support for Senate Bill 497 here in Carson City, in Las Vegas, and on the phone lines, BPS, when you're ready.
If you would like to offer support of SB 497, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to offer support at this time.
Thank you very much. Opposition here in Carson City, Las Vegas, and on the phone lines, BPS.
Thank you, Chair. If you would like to offer opposition testimony to SB 497, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to offer opposition testimony at this time.
Thank you very much, and we'll go to neutral here in Carson City, in Las Vegas, and on the phone lines, BPS.
Thank you, Chair. If you would like to offer a neutral testimony for SB 497, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue. There are no callers wishing to offer neutral testimony at this time.
Thank you very much. And with that, any closing comments? All right, thank you very much, and we'll close Senate Bill 497. All right, that concludes our bill hearings, but now we have some BDR introductions. So, Mr. Thorley, when you are ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, Wayne Thorley for the record, LCB Fiscal Analysis Division. Members, at your desk, you should have copies of 3 BDRs, which require committee introduction. BDR S-1156 is a BDR at the request of the Governor's Finance Office. It contains one-time appropriations that were included in the executive budget as submitted by the Governor for the Department of Education for replacement equipment, computer equipment, hardware, and associated software. The next BDR is BDR 31-1190. This is a BDR that was requested by the committee during the closing of the Office of the Treasurer's budget. The BDR would increase the cap on it's in the endowment account for administrative purposes from the current amount not to exceed 3% to 10%. And this is consistent with the closing actions of the money committees when they close the treasurer's budget. So it's just statutory changes needed to carry out the closing actions related to the budget. And then the last one is BDR S-1209. This is one of the major money bills. It's the first one you'll be seeing. So one of the 6. This is the PEB rates bill, and contains the rates as closed by the money committees. Happy to answer any questions that the committee members might have.
Any questions from the committee? All right, seeing none, I will accept a motion to introduce these BDRs. BDR 1209, 1190, and 1156. So moved by Senator Wynn, second by Senator Titus. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Thank you very much. All right, our last item on the agenda is public comment. I will remind you to dial in 888-475-4499. When prompted, your meeting ID is 819-9387-8194 and press pound. And when prompted for the meeting ID or participant ID, please press pound. This is also listed on the Senate agenda online. All right, with that, BPS, is there anybody waiting for public comment?
Thank you, Chair. The lines are open and working. However, there are no callers to offer public comment at this time.
Okay, thank you very much. We wore them out. All right, thank you very much. Hearing no more public comment, with that, we will be reconvening at some point. I would like to give you an exact time. It may be later today due to afternoon committees, but please stay tuned and we'll try to alert you prior to when we are going to meet. The Board of Examiners meets this morning at 11 a.m., so we'll work around that as well. Thank you very much, and this meeting is adjourned.